Our next speaker is Reverend Sam Adeyemi. He is a dynamic leader, teacher, success coach, leadership consultant, and pastor. His broadcasts, Excellent Leadership and Success Power, are viewed on satellite channels all over the world. He is the senior pastor of Daystar Christian Center, Lagos, with over 25,000 in attendance on Sundays. He founded the Daystar Leadership Academy, which is dedicated to raising a new generation of leaders who will serve as catalysts in the transformation of Africa and the world in general. As of today, close to 30,000 have passed through the school. He holds a master's degree in leadership studies from the University of Exeter, UK, and he's currently a Doctor of Strategic Leadership candidate at Regent University, Virginia, USA. He is married to Nike Adeyemi, who co-pastors with him and ministers healing to women and children through the Real Woman International and the Love Home Orphanage. They are blessed with 3 children. He is speaking today at the platform on unleashing the potentials for wealth creation. Please join me as we give a warm welcome to Reverend Sam Adeyemi.
Thank you. Please let's have a seat. Good morning and happy Independence Day. I'd like to say congratulations to every one of us, and especially to Pastor Poju and my dear sister, Pastor Toye. I want to specially thank Pastor Poju for doing me such a huge favor today by making me to speak first. When I looked at the lineup of speakers, something that would usually happen to me at conferences was going to happen to me. You know, the fear of what to say after all those powerful speeches have been delivered. I think what Pastor Poju did was enough for today. Wasn't that powerful? Very powerful. And let's appreciate Pastor Poju. Thank you for giving us the primer. Now, I was chatting with Mrs. Bolanle Austin Peters just before we started. I'm happy. I'm happy I'm coming first. Yes. So, I should say, though, that I developed a technique over the years, because there's something called experience. Okay? So, if I have people deliver powerful speeches before me, I take notes. I pay attention to the punchlines, the statements that make people to clap and to shout. And I lace my speech with them all through. I just like Pastor Poju said earlier on, and I try to say it in a way that will make you clap the way you clapped when Pastor Poju was saying it. So pay attention. I'm speaking on unleashing potentials for wealth creation. Albert Einstein is credited with this challenging statement: for us to do things the way we have always done them and to expect different results is one of the definitions of insanity. I see quite a bit of insanity with respect to the development of our dear country. And I'm here to encourage a discussion on how we can reduce and eventually remove the madness. My interest in Nigeria's affairs was sparked by books I saw in my dad's library when I was a teenager. The books included The 5 Majors by Ademola Ademoyega, Why We Struck by Ben Bullier, and a few other books. I was pained by the intrigues and the distrust between the tribes and the religions, and by the inability of people in leadership to rise above prejudices. I was frustrated by the inability of the country to progress developmentally. More than 30 years later, I feel even more frustrated that we have not been able to rise beyond the limitations we have had since independence. And our discussions do not seem to be centered around the real issues. That is why it's so important that Pastor Koju has drawn our attention today to the role that politics plays. I have a feeling that if we do not change the way we run our country now, it is predictable that 30 years from now, majority of Nigerians will still be wallowing in poverty. I will try to identify a few of the issues that affect our development, not as the ultimate solution provider here today, but just so we can focus our discussions more on them. Let me state clearly that I do not belong to any political party. I have friends and relations in many, if not most, and I have enemies in none. My focus today is on principles and on issues. It is an established fact that the ruling class worldwide uses political power to channel economic resources to benefit itself. The elite frustrate innovation and wealth creation because it has adverse effects on their economic privileges and political power. Bitter contests for power ensue as people try to upstage others. And when they get political power, they do just exactly the same thing they accused their predecessors of doing. Most of the countries that have developed are those where political institutions have become pluralistic and inclusive, and checks and balances have been instituted to compel the use of power to channel economic resources to benefit and empower all. This, I believe, is the most important form of change we need now to unleash our potential for wealth creation. I read the book Why Nations Fail by James Robinson and Acemoglu and Daron Acemoglu. And they made a very important case, on this issue. For example, they described the situation of Nogales. Nogales is a city that was divided into two when parts of Mexico were ceded to the United States. There's a fence that divides the two countries, and the fence runs right through the middle of Nogales. So it happens that one part of Nogales is developed and the other part is undeveloped. Same city, same culture, because sometimes people say it's the culture. Same culture. They eat the same food, like the same kind of music. But one is part of the so-called first world and the other is part of the so-called third world. And Robinson and Acemoglu, support with historical facts the point that it's the political evolution of the two countries that have made the difference in their development. It's the evolution of the political institutions which have in turn affected the economic institutions that has affected or determined their trajectory for development. So, in our own country, the elite class makes it difficult, for example, for you to own land, which is the baseline for wealth creation. When it takes you 5 years to change the ownership of landed property to your name at the land registry, how do you derive economic value from it? If you save in pension funds or other funds, they steal the money. They encourage you to invest in the stock market, and then they cash out at some strategic points, leaving you with nothing. You own land, they say you can't own what is under it. They sell what is under it and then spend the money on themselves. You deposit money in banks and the banks won't loan you the money. Why are you putting your money in the banks? What's the purpose of a bank? So we put our money in the banks collectively, and the bank should be able to give the credit out to give you leverage to achieve your dreams. The banks in our country loan out money. It's just that they don't loan the money to you. Who do they loan the money to? Themselves. You create or innovate with new ideas. If they do not steal or frustrate your idea, they leave you at the mercy of pirates. You can be sure, though, that they will not fund your idea. The reality you and I must face is that the elite class is not interested in your prospering because it is a threat to their hold on power, and it is a threat